our distinguished Vice Chancellor, Professor Jamshid Barucha, distinguished deans, learned members of the faculty, member of the SaiU University Board, member of the Promoting Trust, directors, heads of department, and colleagues and staff at SaiU University, and finally, and most importantly, to all the students and parents who assembled here, a very good morning and a warm welcome to you. In a literal sense, Chennai is blessed with the warmest part of the weather this year. It's a privilege to welcome the very purpose of SaiU University, the students. We're all here for the students, by the students, on behalf of students. And this time, I'd like to say a very special welcome to the third cohort of SaiU University students, the cohort of 23-24. And a special thanks to the parents, counselors, innumerable teachers, and heads of institutions who have recommended SaiU University, an emerging university, to all the brightest of the students to join us in this journey, started with a completely new vision from anything you've seen so far in India. And Professor Akila was extremely generous in listing out my past accomplishments. But I'm going to talk to you about the future today, not the past. In a sense, we relate to the past as lay the foundation for the future. But the future is beyond our wildest dreams and beyond our imagination. What I'm going to say is, with all of the experience that I've gained in my life in the past, one most important weakness we've come across in India is the state of higher education. As you all know, education builds not only the individual, helps to build their families, helps to build the states and the country as a whole. And you see that well past 75 years of independence, India does not have even one university in the top 100 ranking by any ranking you take. The most popular 3 rankings in the world do not list any one of the Indian institutions in the top 100. It is true that in the early years of the independence, we had to focus on primary education, but primary education laid the foundation on which higher education has to be further strengthened. But after building the primary education, we have not built global institutions. We have very eminent institutions funded by the governments. They still not reach the top 100. We did an analysis as to reasons why we are not in the top. So in 2018, when I had actually retired, there was an urge in me to start a new higher education institution in India, named after my Guru Sai, a SaiU University, with a vision to say we will build India's first international university. You can say, out of the thousands of universities in India, what's going to be the most significant factor which makes us believe that we can do what we set out to do? We've done a lot of research and analysis for 3 years before starting SaiU University. And fundamental point came out of all of that research, data collection, analysis, sieving through performance of all the other universities in India and abroad, was one fundamental factor, that our education system largely, I say largely, remains where it was 50 years ago. That our institutions of higher learning have been long accustomed to offer packaged programs. Programs that have been well tested, tried, never ventured beyond what is being taught for the past few decades. To be more specific, you see that the established institutions still run a combination of programs. If you want to take physics major, you're compulsory to take chemistry and mathematics. If you want to take economics major, you need to compulsorily take statistics and psychology or political science or whatever the options are. Only that much. It's the package of offering. The courses remain the same. The course content remains largely the same. The faculty almost remains the same, but for people retiring and new people joining the noble teaching profession, nothing fundamentally changed in the higher education ecosystem. On the other hand, if you looked at the most successful international universities, their success seemed to come from the fact that they offer diversity of subjects and programs with the freedom for the student to choose whatever subject they want. This is the founding principle of SaiU University. Therefore, I am making it as the first point of my speech. The student of today knows exactly what they want to do. And even those who do not know what they want to study want to have the option to choose their programs as they go along. Not to be cast in concrete that when you join, you take a certain number of subjects and courses and you remain with them for the next 3-4 years. So SaiU University was founded with the principle in design stage that we will offer the first multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary education system in India. This was circa 2017 as we started the university in 2018. When we approached the state government to form the Act, the preamble to SaiU University Act itself, it says, to bring in new paradigms of education, including scientific knowledge, research, and new forms of education, and new subjects and programs. That is the basis on which the government actually gave us the enactment. So today, as all of you know, we have 3 schools: School of Arts and Sciences, School of Computing and Data Sciences, and School of Law. And we are offering several programs within the schools so beautifully designed by our Vice Chancellor and the members, the deans and the members of our faculty, that the students have the ability to weave in and weave out of these programs and courses of their choice. This is a fundamental shift from Indian education system. The reason I am saying is, although we have only 3 schools today, our vision for the future, the next 7 to 8 years, we will have 4 more schools: School of Management, School of Technology, School of Engineering, and School of Health Sciences. So when all of the schools are running on full energy levels, a student would be able to study the majors and minors across all these 7 schools. A choice no university in India offers today, no university in India will be able to offer in the next 10 years to come, because they have to completely reverse. They'll have to change their gears, they'll take a complete U-turn, they have to redesign the curriculum, they have to get faculty, retrain faculty and teaching staff, and they have to completely reorient the university. There are a few anecdotes. I believe in saying the anecdotes convey the most meaning than just a verbal long speech. In the founding of the university, the very first batch, being the first year, the students and parents interviewed us. Normally it's the other way around, as you all know. On this occasion, one young lady student met with us with a 98% in her board exams. And our Vice Chancellor, Professor Burchan, and I met with this young lady and her parents. This student asked us a simple question. Sir, do you offer a combination as a multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary university? Do you offer a program, a biotech major, a computer science minor and law minor? Our Vice Chancellor responded to the student, say yes, but you can always choose it in the second year, because the first year is the foundation programs, and you can make a choice, or you can retain this choice, or you can change your subject in the second year. But this young student was very adamant. He said, no sir, I'm very sure that I want to study only biotech major with computer science and law, and if you're going to offer it, I'll join now. And since you're offering the subjects already, we confirmed to the student and parents, and they had admitted the student on the spot. Out of curiosity, I asked the student as to why she chose this combination of subjects, which seemed like rather unique. The answer of the student was very simple. He said, sir, I've decided to pursue my career in biotech research. I'm therefore taking an undergrad major in biotech. And I know when I do further postgraduate studies and research, I need to do a lot of number crunching, and therefore I want to learn computer science. And when I start my career beyond my PhD, I want to do research in PhD, and post-PhD I want to do research in biotechnology and do inventions. And to protect my inventions and monetize my discoveries, I want to understand law. That was a very crystal clear career path this young lady has kind of made out for herself for the next 30 years of her life. And she mentioned it to us. that there is no other university in India offering this, and since you're offering it, I'm joining here. In the same year, another young boy student who had a 96% percentage in plus high school CBSE. This young man came to us and said, "Sir, do you offer computer science with music and law?" It was the founding batch again. And of course, we went through the same drill, having gone through it once before. And the student joined, and on probing about the intention of this combination of subjects, the student said, "Sir, after my undergraduation, I do not want to study anymore. I want to become an entrepreneur and start a digital music company. Therefore, I chose to do majors in computer science with an understanding in music and law." So these two anecdotes will illustrate to you the power of multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary learning. Any amount of brochures or website listings cannot disclose the power of what I've just narrated. And that is possibly because we're the only institution in India offering it today. And of course, in the most recent years, I've come to see one or two other institutions are offering or beginning to offer liberal arts and science. Liberal arts and science universities have been in existence for a long time, in India also. But not a full spectrum liberal education universities. We are a full spectrum liberal education university model. That is why we would like to say that our dream is to make SaiU University the top university in India and amongst the best universities in the world. Having established the vision, the purpose, I must go back and look at what we've done. As a new university, we started with a city campus because it takes time to build infrastructure in this country. And now, of course, since the last year, we moved into our main campus and we are still building our infrastructure. We'll continue to build our infrastructure for the next 10 years. As we roll out one academic building and one residential building each year, there will be continuous development of the campus for the next 10 years. But the key to the design and the growth of this university is constituted by a strong foundation which consists of the Chancellor's office supported by the members sitting here with you, heads of departments and directors, and the registrar, who form the basis on which the magnificent edifice will start up. And this edifice will consist of 5 tall pillars, each one a great monument to come. First is the Board of Governors. Governance is the most important aspect of any institution building. And as you can see, SaiU University has 18 board members, out of which there are 5 Bharat Award winners, 4 Padma Vibhushans and a Padma Shri. There is no other education in India which can even come anywhere close to it. The purpose of this powerful board of governors is not because they are donors, not because they are powerful people, but because each one has established themselves in some position in the higher education value chain in India and abroad. starting from the most respected Chief Justice of India, retired Chief Justice Sri Venkatachalaya, who was in his early 90s, but is sharper and more eloquent than anybody I've seen. Then I met with him in Bangalore to invite him to the board on the same day at 3 events for which I accompanied him. The first was on Karnataka state event. The afternoon, he had a function where he's talking about law to a forum of lawyers and judges. And the evening, he's talking about the environment. That's the diversity of the knowledge that Sri Venkatachalaya brings to the board. And of course, follow it up with my dear friend, Mr. Narayan Murthy, who is not here because of his accomplishments as an entrepreneur, but because he is on the International Board of Governors of 4 universities around the world. 2 in the US, 1 in Europe, and 1 in Japan. Brings in a wealth of experience in higher education and international value systems. Sri Venkatachalaya brings in, as a founder of the National Law Schools, the concept began National Law Schools. It was started when he was the Chief Justice of India. He brings in the entire legal education system into our framework. Similarly, Mr. Ashank Desai, who is on the Board of Governors of IIM Ahmedabad and IIT Mumbai, brings in the value systems as one of the top institutions and most respected institutions in this country. Mr. Mohandas Pai, we all know, run 3 universities in India and abroad. Professor Kasturirangan, the architect of new education policy and former chairman of ISRO, brings a scientific temper to the university, as well as Professor Anil Kakodkar, former chairman of Atomic Energy Commission. And it can go on and on. Ms. Savita Mahajan from ISB, Ms. Bharti Gupta Ramala from PricewaterhouseCoopers, Sunita Reddy from Apollo Hospitals, Mr. Sriram Panchu, international mediator, and so on and so forth, and our own Mr. Ram, who's sitting here in the front row as a board member, not only as a board member, as making sure that the university is complying with all the statutes of the country. The reason I'm saying is to say that the first pillar is so eminent that we derive the strength from their collective wisdom and experience for the future directions of the university. And the second pillar are the people who bring the knowledge to the university. The most eminent Vice Chancellor and the eminent members of faculty bringing the collective experience of their international higher education, global teaching practices. We can say that almost the last count I've seen, 75% of our faculty in India have some form of international education and international work experience, where again we can say we're amongst the top universities. The faculty, the Vice Chancellor, the deans of the faculty represent the second strongest pillar of this university. The third pillar is the most unique pillar, the curriculum, again as I talked about earlier, designed by our learned academic team, multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary system, forms the basic fabric on which the university has been designed. That's the strongest pillar right in the middle, the third pillar. The fourth pillar is our infrastructure, which I would say is emerging, is not there fully yet. When it's fully blown out, it can accommodate 20,000 students. Today we only have a few hundred. The reason I'm saying is our own state government, in its wisdom, made sure that the state private universities in Tamil Nadu do not become yet another business enterprise, because higher education in India has become business enterprise. To ensure that we do not become yet another business enterprise, the state government ensured in the act that we need to have a minimum 100 acres of contiguous land. I'm happy to tell you that we are one of the first universities in India to have 100 acres of contiguous land within 1 hour driving distance of the city of Chennai. And our vision is to build one academic building and one residential building each year. In order to facilitate it, we went through an international competition of selection of architects, including 2 US architects. Total of 18 architects participated. We had a campus committee which went through 2 rounds of shortlisting and reduced it to 5 architects. So we gave an assignment to these 5 architects to say, paid assignment to say, come up with a concept design for master plan. And based on that master plan, we'll decide the best master plan will be selected by the campus committee. And finally the committee selected our architects who were based in Bangalore, who've done most prestigious education institutions in India. So the entire master plan covers the design of the university is captured in its architecture. The central plaza is a theme around which each block represents a discipline interconnected with the central plaza, which is largely a student and faculty zone. It's going to take time to realize this dream, but we shall realize the dream. And I'll retire only when I realize the dream. That infrastructure will take time. It's not here fully. We have 2 buildings and 1 hostel block. We are hopelessly behind schedule. Without going into reasons behind it, we're doing our very best to make sure the infrastructure is built to the expected levels of an international university. And we do hope one area of weakness we have currently, which is infrastructure, we address it within the next year or so that all of our activities will be centered around our campus. And last, but the most important pillar of all, are our students. The best of minds who are open for a liberal education model have been assembled together by a process of selection to see the students' interests converge with the university's purpose. It is not just a student who is coming with a closed mind that I will study one subject and I have one career path, but it's also open to those who want to experiment, understand and exploit the multidisciplinary character of this university. So today, once again, I welcome the 3rd cohort of our SaiU University 23-24 students as the 5th and the most important pillar of this university. So we have this occasion today to welcome these new cohort of students and the parents and the student educators, counselors who are assembled in large numbers. Having said all this, during the concept testing stage of the university, there are several board members and some of my close friends and advisors questioned me to see, is this concept viable in India? Can you run a not-profit education institution in India? Because this is not an education institution which has been built for the benefit of one individual or their families. This is an education institution built for the people of India, this great republic, and the emerging generations to come. Attend programs, enrich their lives, and contribute back to the society and the country. They also questioned me whether it's possible and viable to run a completely different education model than what has been tested and proven so far, which is mass tutoring sessions. Our cohort size is small. We are not taking thousands of students. We want to take in a few hundred students each time. We want to make sure our systems and processes are in place and tested, and our infrastructure is ready before we welcome bigger numbers of students. So to those who challenged me, I gave some answers. Going to my own career, the mid-80s and late 80s, 35 plus years ago, when we started IT companies in India, there was a huge challenge. The challenge before us was that it has never been done before. Software from India was something that was unheard of. I tell you my own personal experience. We used to go on a delegation representing 15, 20 Indian companies sponsored by Government of India at our expense to go and promote software from India. And one of the prospective American clients asked a question. Where is software in India? We only heard of cows and trains in the streets of India. We never heard of software from India. And yet, about 38 years later now, we can see that India is recognized as the technology leader of the world. Even if you're starting a software company in the US, and if you're approaching investors in the US for financial investment into a new startup, the first question they ask is, what is your India connection? If you do not have a link in India of some kind, at their own subsidiary, a partner, or joint venture, please go and tie up an India side of the story and then only come before we can invest money. This is for a US company starting in India to be a US company starting in US to funded by US. They still look for India as a support. This is one example how in 35 years, software exports from India have grown from almost zero to $150 billion plus. And domestic market is only $35 billion. Exports are almost 4 times the domestic market. Providing employment to millions of young engineers, raising a whole new generation of Indians who become technology leaders around the world. You take the top tech companies in the world, I don't have to tell you, you look at their names, large number of them are Indian CEOs. So if it's possible to do that in 35 years in one industry, why not in higher education? Our Honorable Prime Minister recently has given a challenge to us as members, Chairman Emeritus of NASSCOM, about 10 of us, to say that we want to double those $150 billion of exports to $300 billion within the next 7 years by 2030. Because India's software exports today more than pays for our oil imports. Our oil imports are $135 billion. So our Prime Minister believes that if we can double it, India can be more liberalized economy around the world and has the potential to be among the top 4 global economies within the next 7 years. We are already there in 5th and 6th places by various indices. So if we can do it in one IT sector in 35 years, where did the raw material for the IT sector come from? We did not find raw material from students in Indian origin who were studying abroad, who were returning to India. There was no such pool available to us. We did not even have access to the latest hardware and software from the developed world because import duty was 235%. This is a history that must be recorded. So if we can do that, create a talent pool within this country and build an industry completely from scratch to $150 billion in 35 years, plus $35 billion domestic market, then that pool, if it can be created for one industry, why can't we create the same pool for all other industries? And that is very much possible, was my answer. And I had to supplement it to say there are 2 more points in support of my argument. Whatever has happened in IT sector, similar revolution has happened in healthcare sector. More than 30 years ago, if people in this country had a major ailment, like a heart attack or a stroke, they had the means, they went abroad for treatment. If they didn't have the means, they went to a place to pray. That was the only 2 options choice they had. But today, India has again become a global leader in healthcare, where patients from around the world are coming to India for treatment because we have globally acknowledged physicians and surgeons, same state of equipment as we have in other parts of the world, better nursing care, and almost 1/4 of the cost of treatment abroad. If you're in one of the developed countries, to take an MRI scan to get an appointment, it takes 7 days. If you're in some of the European countries in the health system of the governments run by the state, to get an appointment to meet your family physician takes 3 to 4 days. Here, if you go to a leading healthcare institution, the morning at 7, by afternoon 3 or 4 p.m. you'll come out with a complete diagnosis from head to foot, with consultants examining every part of your body with a comprehensive health checkup report and a follow-through care. So this has been possible also in less than 35 years. And to come to a more recent example, during the recent pandemic, India is the only country in the world to have produced 3 vaccines within the limited period that we had. United States was the first, India was the second country to produce 3 vaccines. No other country in the world has produced more than 1. Hundreds of countries couldn't even produce a vaccine. India is amongst vaccine exporters. So if we can do it in 3 sectors, if we can do it in space sector, today we see Chandrayaan has gone into lunar orbit. Hopefully a few days from now we'll hear the news that India's Chandrayaan lander has landed on the soil of moon. It will be only, I think, a 4th country in the world to achieve this. The day is not far when we will be landing at Mars. If this can happen, this has to be supported very strongly by a very, very firm, high quality higher education in India. And that high quality higher education in India, if it were to feed into the channels and multiple disciplines, from not only IT sector, healthcare sector or space sector, but every other field of human endeavor, including arts, literature, music, poetry, including technology, science. There is no limit for the progress of this country. I'd like to go back and say, several thousand years ago, India was the first exporter of knowledge. The oldest universities of India were the first universities of the world. You go into the older civilization, students from abroad came to India for acquiring knowledge. I'm sure many of you know that the learned institutions of India, like Nalanda's, we have had people from around the world come here to study and take back the knowledge to their countries. But we have lost out that advantage in the recent few hundred years. And now, our students are going abroad for undergraduate education. In my view, it's a pathetic situation. Pathetic because they're forced to go into this direction. 7 lakh students are going for higher education after schooling to international destination. Foreign universities are coming and running education fairs in Indian high schools, inviting our students to come to their countries. What was predominantly a business model invented by Indians are now being practiced by international higher education universities. They sing a captive audience of Indian population to fill in the seats in their classrooms. 7 lakh students are going abroad for undergraduate education, according to Government of India statistics. Just imagine, each student and their families are paying for nearly 1.2 crores per year, per program for 4 years, 30 lakhs per year. 7 lakh students to 1.2 crores for their duration of stay abroad. Just imagine the wealth of India which way is flowing. And many of them cannot even afford it. They take bank loans and then repay it up by working abroad. So where are we heading? We're heading towards a complete lack of higher education institutions, which is driving our young students to seek better education systems. So the fifth and the most powerful pillar of this university is the recent DA-TET, why we started SaiU University. And that is the most compelling reason that we will make sure SaiU University continues to grow and succeed to become one of the best universities in India and the world. And I urge all of you here once again to thank you for joining this journey with us, a journey which has just taken the first few baby steps. And as we go along, I am very certain that we'll reach our destination with a lot of pride in our stride, and we'll make impossible happen. We'll achieve our dreams. To rephrase Martin Luther King Jr., I have a dream I'm rephrasing purposely. I have a dream to see in the next few years, not only SaiU University grows and becomes an Indian and global institution, but we start attracting students from around the world, to begin with Asia and Middle East, and moving on to Europe and to the rest of the world. I see a day when international students will migrate to India to study in SaiU University instead of the other way around. It is not only a dream, it is a simple logic. India has the world's largest population of youth. The population of youth in this country is more than the population of the combined continents. And if we cannot provide that opportunity for our youth to stay in this country, get educated, and contribute to our country, then we will be failing in our duty to build a better place for our students, for our younger generation, for the future of this country. And if we have not made that happen, we'll be letting them down. Because we do not know where AI, machine language, where cognitive neuroscience, where the modern counters of law and other disciplines are going to take us in the future. But one thing is sure, wherever the future is, SaiU University will be there. And we will be there not because it's a fashionable thing to do. We will be there not because it's attracting a lot of wealth to be gained by providing it as a business opportunity, but we'll be there because it's the right thing to do for the youth of this country and to make India a modern, developed nation and be proud of ourselves. And with those words, I welcome again our young cohort of 23, 24 to SaiU University, and I'll say, come together, let's build SaiU University and build a better India. Thank you very much.